I'm listening to myself say TikTok and I feel like I sound like Tahani from The Good Place. So today I'm going to be reacting to mental health advice on TikTok, and I haven't pre-screened the videos, so I don't know what we're going to get in here. Hopefully there's some good stuff, but I'm curious to see what general advice people are giving. I've seen a few mental health advice TikToks come up just when I've been scrolling randomly through the app, and the majority of what I've seen has been really good and really positive and really wholesome, so I'm hoping that that is the sort of thing that we'll find. But I'm also curious to see if there is anything on there that I disagree with, and I'm hoping there's not going to be anything particularly heinous. So I've got my old phone set up to screen record. Hopefully that's all going to go okay, and I'll manage to edit it into the video. If it looks like trash, I'm sorry. So here we go. I'm going to search for, oh, this old phone doesn't have predictive text. Mental health advice. And let's see what we get. So there's a couple of accounts that are specifically for that. I'm going to avoid anything that says trigger warning on it just because it might be a bit heavy for a fun video. Let's just pick one. Actually really good advice. I like that. Setting up somewhere you can go, whether it's like your bed or a sofa or a corner with a beanbag in it, or just somewhere with loads of blankets that you can go and curl up in when you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, is a really good piece of advice. It's something I use. I put myself in bed if I'm ever feeling really bad, and it just allows me to feel really secure. So that's really wholesome. I like this advice. Okay, next.
When you ask why has mental health issues risen amongst our generation, you have to look at what's changed, and that points to social and societal issues. Our ancestors lived as cavemen and women in their tribes with their loved ones in nature, and they were much more active than we are now. We live in white walls, we tap glass screens alone to talk to our loved ones, and
I'm gonna pause this one because I have some thoughts. I'm working on a video series at the moment that's the history of mental health treatment and attitudes towards mental health in the UK, and what I feel like this person is getting at in this video is the idea that our ancestors, you know, thousands or tens of thousands of years ago didn't have mental health problems, and that's just not true. I think, and a lot of studies that have been done would agree with me here, I think what we're seeing is a rise in diagnosis, not necessarily a rise in the disorders themselves. And I think there is a difference when you look at anxiety and depression versus more severe mental health problems, because studies do seem to show that there might be a rise in depression and anxiety. And I think when you look at the state of the world, that's pretty understandable. It's very normal to respond to a really broken world by feeling depressed and anxious, and our social environment and our general environment and the things that we interact with do have a huge impact on our mental health. So there might be a rise in kind of depression and anxiety, but more severe mental illnesses, we're not seeing a rise in those. We're just seeing that more people are getting diagnosed, which means that more people are getting treatment and are getting support. So I don't actually think it's a negative thing, even with depression and anxiety. I don't think it's a negative thing that more people are being diagnosed with it, because what that should do is it should allow them to access treatment and support and help. The only way that it's bad that diagnosis is rising is if we don't have infrastructure in place to support those people. And unfortunately, we don't. So it is a double-edged sword, because when you look at it from an optimistic point of view, what the increase in diagnosis should allow for is it should allow for us to treat these illnesses and help people. What it actually does is it often just gives people a label and then no support, which is when people struggle and they try to put things in place themselves And you can have a really positive impact on your own mental health, but it's not fair to expect someone to completely support themselves with no input or advice or help from professionals or even from groups of peers. A big part of my therapy is group therapy, and that's really helpful. Another thing that he's touching upon in this video that I don't think really makes much sense is him talking about the introduction of technology and our use of technology to keep in contact with people as though it's a bad thing. And I think it's quite a timely conversation to be having when we're in the midst of a global pandemic that is forcing people to self-isolate or become more isolated from people. Technology doesn't make you isolated, and I don't necessarily think that interacting with your friends and family through technology, through social media, through video calling, through voice calling, is any lesser than interacting with them face to face. I think the only thing that it's important to take into account is that people can get touch starved, and there is a difference between being able to give someone a hug and getting a virtual hug. But technology actually allows a lot of people to be far more socially included than they were before technology. When you look at people like myself with chronic illnesses, when you look at people with disabilities that mean that it's really, really difficult for them to leave the house, with or without support sometimes, technology is amazing because it allows us to connect with people. The groups that I interact with on Twitter have been incredible, so supportive, and I've learned so much from it, and obviously that wouldn't exist without technology. So I'm going to watch the rest of the video and then I'll kind of summarise my thoughts on it, because there is every possibility that I may have spoken too soon.
We use Uber to get around. If you ask me why mental health issues are rising at rapid rates amongst our generation, it's an internal calling to get back to being more human. It's no coincidence that every psychologist will suggest the things we used to do a million years ago as some of the cures and some of the things that aid our mental health. We have to get back to being more human.
So people who use and rely on technology aren't human. Disabled people who rely on technology to interact and to feel socially included are less human than other people. This is a common thing that I see with mental health advice, and this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to make this video. It's because anecdotal things like this, or really generic platitudes, are thrown around as if it's the cure-all to mental health problems, and it's just not true. While it might really help some people to get out of the house more, to have a break from social media, because that can be good, because being behind a screen does give people far more confidence to say really appalling things that they wouldn't say in person. But while it might be helpful for some people to get out and about and to exercise and to take care of their diet and to eat more whole foods and all of those kind of things that you hear thrown around as the absolute in mental health advice, that excludes such a huge group of people. It excludes disabled people like me, like so many other people. It completely excludes us from the conversation, and it almost ends up suggesting, or it certainly feels to me, as if because this advice doesn't apply to me, I am therefore condemned to suffer with mental health problems forever, because I'm not able to get myself out and go run 5 miles, because I'm not able to eat some of the whole foods that people want me to be eating that are apparently going to cure my mental health problems. Do you see what I mean? Disabled people who have physical disabilities also often have mental health problems. They're both equally as disabling a lot of the time. And what advice like this does is it suggests that the people giving this advice have forgotten that disabled people with mental health problems exist. It also suggests that mental health problems are really easy to cure, that we need to get outside and exercise and eat better and it'll all go away. And that's just not true. The science doesn't back it up. There is so much evidence that there are biological factors involved in mental health problems, and also that there are hugely cumulative social and emotional factors involved in developing mental health problems that aren't going to be cured by getting outside. If it works for you, that's fantastic. I am by no means saying that this is bad advice for everyone. If you find something that works for you and it's healthy in the context of your life, your abilities and your needs, you do it and keep doing it, because if something works, then it works. But what I am saying is that it's irresponsible for groups and for people to be putting out this advice as if they've found the answer. I also just hugely dislike the "get back to being more human" slogan. Does having mental health problems or using technology more make me less human? Because that just feels really eugenicsy and very uncomfortable, and I would really question who gave the okay for them to use that. You are not less human if you use technology to interact with people. You are not less human if you are disabled and less able to get out and about, or if you just don't want to, if you prefer being at home, like I do. You are not less human, you are not broken. And you're certainly not less human if you have mental health problems, and if these things don't work for you, or you don't feel like trying them. Okay, believe it or not, it was actually not my intention to turn this video into just one massive rant, so I'm gonna move on, and hopefully we will find something wholesome again.
I'm just gonna give some advice so when you come out of your really horrible depressive times and you realise you haven't showered for 2 weeks, you decide you want to take a full shower and look after yourself finally. This is for those people. Put a little bit of shampoo in the top, in the sides of your hair there, and in the back, lather. Then use one of these bad boys, a wet brush, to pull it through your hair. Having that helps get out the knots that will automatically be there and make it a lot easier in the end. Once you've pretty much got rid of all of them, wash out your hair. If you're feeling really spicy, put some conditioner into the brush and put it through the length of your hair. Use a gel-like Simple for your private areas, and use a luxurious, nice-smelling shower cream for the rest of it to make you feel better. And ladies, if you like to do this, remember to shave, because it's going to be a mess down there. When it's all done at the same time, it won't happen for another 2 weeks.
I love her. This is really good advice. The only thing I would suggest is maybe using the conditioner to detangle, but whatever works for you, whatever's easiest, whatever you can handle. I love her though. Why doesn't she have more followers? I'm not actually logged into TikTok on this phone, but I am gonna come and follow you because this is great and I love you. Meme Queen Mame, I hope you're doing well. Subscribe if you enjoyed seeing me react to mental health advice on TikTok. I make new videos twice a week, and I would love for you to leave me comments down below of anything else that you would like to see from me. My social media links, as well as links to mental health charities, will also be in the box down below, and I definitely encourage you to check out the advice on how best to support somebody if that's something that you've not come across before. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!